able to manage. Welcome everybody to this first session of the EU funding marathon, a series of webinars about European funding for the cultural and creative sectors. This program is organized by DutchCulture and Waag Futurelab, and my colleague Jelle will talk more about this cooperation later on. This session today will be about Culture Moves Europe, and Culture Moves Europe is a grant for artists and cultural professionals in Europe who want to do a project, an artistic project in another European country. My name is Judith van der Kooi. I work for the Mobility Info Point at DutchCulture, and I will be hosting this session together with my colleague Gigeen Tegoch. What we noticed in our daily work is that there were quite some questions about this grant, about Culture Moves Europe. And so we decided to organize this session and have it implemented in this beautiful series of webinars about European funding. And we teamed up with the Goethe Institute. And why the Goethe Institute? The Goethe Institute is the organization that implements the Culture Moves Europe program. And we are very happy that the Goethe Institute is with us today to do a presentation. And we also invited two artists that successfully applied to Culture Moves Europe grants, and they will share their stories with us. And before that, I would like to give the stage to my colleague Jelle for some welcoming words.
Thank you very much, Judith, and a very warm welcome to you all. It's great to see that so many of you have signed up for this first webinar of our EU funding marathon session that we're hosting in the upcoming 5 months. Like Judith already said, my name is Jelle Burggraaf, and I work at DutchCulture as head of the mobility and advice team. For those of you who do not know us yet, DutchCulture is the network and knowledge organization in the Netherlands for international cultural cooperation. This means that we support the cultural and creative sectors in the Netherlands, public authorities, as well as diplomatic posts in realizing their international ambitions. And we do so by giving information and advice on different programs and opportunities that all foster international cultural collaboration. We, for example, have advisors in-house who can assist you in applying for Creative Europe funding. This is the program of the European Commission to support the cultural, creative, and audiovisual sectors. In addition, our Mobility Info Point advises you on different topics, such as funding opportunities or how to apply for a visa when you have plans to go abroad or when you're working with international artists, performers, or organizations. On the other hand, if you're interested in artist in residency programs, you can consult our Trends Artist database that contains more than 1,500 artist in residency programs worldwide. And last but not least, we also have specific country advisors in-house whom you can contact if you're interested in working together with one of the 24 focal countries of the Dutch international cultural policy, such as Germany, Morocco, or Japan, for example. In addition to this, we feel the need to make European programs more accessible to makers and cultural organizations. And this is also the reason why we have joined forces with Waag Futurelab. Together, we will organize a series of 5 online webinars in which we'll focus on different European programs. In each session, the specifics of this program will be explained, as well as what projects are suitable for these programs, how you can apply, and of course, we will also look at successful applicants. Today, like Judith already said, we'll start with Culture Moves Europe. In the upcoming 5 months, we'll put the spotlight on Creative Europe, Horizon Europe, CEF, Citizens, Equality, Rights and Values, and last but not least, EIT, Creativity and Culture. One of the organizations in the Netherlands that is very successful in applying for European funding is Waag Futurelab. And this is also why I'm very glad that we have them on board in organizing this EU funding marathon. Today, we also have with us Lucas Evers from Waag, and Lucas, can I give the floor to you?
Thank you, Jelle. I couldn't be more complete than you are. So, in a sense, I have nothing to add. Then, over the course of the different editions in this series, to listen in, but also give the editorial team, that is DutchCulture and Waag and more experts, also a lot of advice in order to strengthen the Dutch cultural and creative sector to receive funding from European funding streams in order to share more of its knowledge. So for me, there lies the interest that we are not the only one that is so successful in doing so. And I must say, it's a lot of work, but it pays off. And the more expertise we have in the Netherlands, the more we can share how to be successful and also share those results. So that was the little thing I would love to say here. And further, I would indeed give the floor to the other experts that you have lined up that have much more things to say in detail of the specific European funding streams that are available for our cultural sector, but also to relate that to the rest of Europe. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucas. Yeah, thank you for your contribution, and thank you, Jelle, also for giving some insights on the background of this funding marathon. I would like now to have a look at our program of today. Let me check where it is. Yes, there we are. So today we will start with a presentation of Marijn van der Leeuw. Marijn is an artist who applied successfully to the Culture Moves Europe grants, and she already went to do a project. In her case, she went to Sofia in Bulgaria. After Marijn's presentation, we will listen to Lolly Messeguer. She's a grant coordinator of Culture Moves Europe at the Goethe Institute, and she will run us through all the ins and outs of the call. And then we will end with another presentation of a Culture Moves Europe grantee, Emilia Tapres, who did a research residency in Lithuania. And yeah, we are very looking forward to that. As you can see, after every presentation, there will be a Q&A, and my colleague Gigane will tell you some more about that.
Yes, thank you, Judith. Hi everyone, my name is Gigane Toroch, and I'm advisor Creative Europe at DutchCulture, and I will be moderating the
Can you speak again?
Can you guys hear me? Still not?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Sorry. So hi everyone, my name is Gigane Toroch, and I'm advisor Creative Europe at DutchCulture, and I will be moderating the chat and the Q&A sessions after the presentations. So as you guys have seen, there will be 3 presentations and also followed by a Q&A session afterwards. Please feel free to pose your questions while the presentations are running. I will do my best to answer some of them if they're a bit technical. Also, I will make a presentation for during the Q&A, so I can leave it to the experts to answer the questions. In case your question won't be answered, please do not hesitate to approach us via email, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. And lastly, I would like to note that this session is being streamed. So in case you will have to miss a part or would like to rewatch it, the session will be able to be opened with the exact same link you received. And if you will lose this link, you can always ask for the same link again. So let's move on to our first presenter. Marijn, the floor is yours.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Gaan we even haar.
Yes. Can everyone hear me or?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. Nice to be here and thank you for the invite. My name is Marijn van der Leeuw. Oh yeah, there's the presentation. Yeah, great. So my name is Marijn van der Leeuw. I am the founder and the curator of the Nomadic Gallery. Sorry, Yeah, I think everything is good now. I am the founder and the curator of the Tiny Art Gallery in The Hague, but it's also a nomadic gallery, so it goes many places. The Tiny Art Gallery, as the name suggests, is a gallery that's completely in service of the tiny art object. Judith, I think you can go to the next. Yes. So this is the original gallery. It's a tiny gallery made out of a wooden structure. It can host 63 different artists with a tiny artwork. And due to its small size, it can go many places. This one is the original one, but I also make site-specific ones. This is what I did in Sofia, but I'll tell you more about this in a bit. First, I give a little bit of more context about the tiny gallery and why I started this. I created it during the Corona pandemic as a reaction, like a small attempt to fill in the massive gap that, of course, existed when every exhibition was cancelled. But also, apart from this, I noticed that it was a very nice way to bring together many artists from all over the world. Because of its handy size, it didn't have any spatial or financial difficulties. Actually, it became a way to really organize big group exhibitions and bring together many people and also go many places. This was one of the biggest reasons why I continued after the pandemic, but also I'm just very intrigued by tiny things because it just asks for a different kind of concentration for as well the maker, but also the viewer. It is just a different way of looking and making artworks, which is something I'm very appealed by. So I now made already 4 editions. I think maybe we can go to the next slide by now. Oh yeah, well maybe one further. I'm sorry. Yes, so now I'm going to talk a bit more about my edition that I did in Sofia, which I got the mobility grant for. This was in March 2023, where I got invited to organize a tiny gallery in Sofia as part of the 3rd edition of the FIC Festival, which is an annual festival for art, design, and illustration. And my first thought when I got this invite was, yes, amazing. I'm going, of course, I'm coming. And my second thought was, oof, how will I do this financially? So we talked a lot with the whole project was a big collaboration with the organizers of the festival, and I think our first meetings were a lot about how to do it, how to arrange it. Even though it's a small exhibition, it is still a lot of arranging, and it was really nice to do it with them in close collaboration. So our first meetings were to make a plan on figuring out ways to make it possible financially. They already got some funding from the Bulgarian government, and this is the point when we decided to apply for the Culture Move Europe individual mobility grant. And applying for this was a really good way to also make the project much more concrete, because of course you are in different countries at first planning a project together, but still there is quite a big distance. But answering and filling in this whole questionnaire for the application was a really good way to concrete our ideas and our plans, and to to kind of figure out what our thoughts were, and to become really concrete and write them down in a final application. I think it was a really good way to start this. And then I think Judith, you can go to the next slide. Yes, so in the end, we came up with a theme. We made the whole. Wait, I think something is going a little bit wrong with my camera. I'm sorry. Yeah. So while we applied for the funding, we've planned the whole exhibition together. We came up with a theme to do in Sofia, and this theme became the Panelka's, and we invited artists via an open call to apply for this exhibition. We wanted to bring together 10 Bulgarian artists with 10 artists from other places. And in the end, we made a whole exhibition in one of their spaces, which you can see on this slide. It was in this middle of the center of Sofia. And for me, this was a great way to meet a lot of people that were passersby, but also people that really came for the exhibition itself. It was really a very good addition to the project for me to get the funding, because it made it possible for me to go there in real life and be there for 10 days to finalize and really work on the building up of the project, and also to meet everyone in real life. And it was a beautiful way to do a project in a different country, working together with many people, and also going there and meeting a lot of people. I think for now this was it.
Thank you for your story about your tiny art gallery project and your application, Marijn. I can see there have been a few short questions, but most of them are more towards the application itself.
Okay,
And I myself was wondering, because we talked a little bit about your project, and I was wondering, what was maybe the most challenging aspect of the application for you? Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Well, I think the most challenging was, well, what I was explaining a little bit was because you need to get quite concrete, of course, like you need to really have the fixed plan. And of course, it was still quite in the future. So it was quite a challenge to kind of really, yeah, pinpoint like, why am I going there? What are my expectations? What are we going to do? So I think this was quite challenging, but like I said, it was also really a nice way to get really a clear idea about it for myself as well. Yeah.
Could you tell us about a bit more about how much time it took for you to do the application? And I'm myself posing questions at the moment, but if you guys in the chat have any questions right now, I can feel free to post them so I can ask them.
Yeah, well, I think I maybe took a little bit more time because I was doing also quite a big part in together with the organizers of the festival. So we kind of had to like get together and discuss the plan. But in general, I think, or in total, I think the writing itself took me like 2 to 3 hours. But then you have to finalize like more some more in detail things that you have to maybe, well, I think maybe 5 hours in total, like because you also need to make a portfolio, and you need to make a CV and like things like this that cost a little bit more time, but yeah.
Oh, there is another question from the audience. How did you travel to Sofia? Is there a thought about traveling green? Well,
Definitely. Oh, sorry.
this will be discussed, but maybe you can tell about your experience.
Yeah, well, my experience in this way was a little bit like we were planning to go by car, but given to certain circumstances, I can't drive myself, so I had to bring someone that would drive me there. And with work and everything, like it was quite far, so eventually, sadly, I had to go by plane. But I tried to go by car, but yeah,
All right, and
didn't work out.
maybe one more question, or time for one more question.
Mhm.
From Donya. How did you connect with the local artists? How
Oh
did
yeah.
partnership?
Well, I think one of the organizers was already, I studied at the KBK in Den Haag, and one of the organizers I knew from the KBK. And then I was visiting Sofia like a couple of months before we did the project, and we started just talking about what I do and what they did. And this is kind of how the idea came about, I think. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for answering all of our questions and also for sharing your experience with Culture Moves Europe. We will now proceed with the presentation about the grant itself. We will be having Lodi Messeger from Goethe Institute with us, live from Brussels, in our online studio. So Lodi, can I give the floor to you?
Yes, of course. Hello, everyone.
Okay, wacht even. Kijken waar die nou in één keer gebleven is.
So we will be sharing a PowerPoint.
Oh, here, Lolly, yeah. There it is. The stage.
There you go. So hello everyone. My name is Loli. I'm grant coordinator for the Culture Moves Europe at the Goethe Institute. And I will do now a presentation on the new call for individual mobility of artists and cultural professionals. And yes, please feel free to ask the questions, and then again we bring them to me. So Culture Moves Europe, it's a mobility scheme that gives out grants to artists and cultural professionals residing in a creative Europe country and willing to implement an artistic project in another creative Europe country. There are two action lines: the individual mobility, which is why we are here today, and then there is also the residency action. Basically, our grants contribute to the subsistence costs and also offers additional top-ups depending on the individual situation of every grantee. Culture Moves Europe also has measures to encourage green mobility when possible in this case. It is funded by the European Union and implemented by the Goethe Institute. So briefly, for the two lines, the individual mobility action is the part that gives out more grants, in this case 6,000, and it's for really individual artists or artists applying as group up to 5 people that wish to implement a project of their own in another creative Europe country. In the residency action, it is the legal entity or host organization who applies to invite artists to their residency to do a project together. The eligible sectors for Culture Moves Europe are these ones that you can see in the presentation: architecture, cultural heritage, design and fashion design, literature, music, performing arts, and visual arts. Literature was recently added to the new call for individual mobility, and it includes literary translation, literary creation, and promotion and publishing of literary works produced in creative Europe countries. As well, the creative Europe countries are the ones eligible for Culture Moves Europe. So applicants will need to be legally residing in one of these countries and willing to travel to another one of these countries. You can find the list in the website, in the call, in social media, everywhere. So please, before applying, check that you are from an eligible country. So the new call for individual mobility opens on the 2nd of October, and it will be running until the 31st of May 2024. There is a new call expected as well to be launched in autumn 2024, and you can really apply anytime until the 31st of May 2024. To be eligible for this call, it will be needed to be a legal residence in a creative Europe country, to want to carry out a mobility project in another creative Europe country, apply individually or as a part of a group up to 5 people, and also have an international partner based in a different creative Europe country. So our golden rule is 1 project, 1 partner, and 1 destination. Basically, at eligibility stage, we analyze these 3 aspects: the applicant, the international partner, and also the mobility project. With respect to the applicant, please go to next slide. The applicant will need to be at least 18 years old, reside in a creative Europe country, be active in one of the eligible sectors, and also apply 1 time per call. If you already got the grants from individual mobility action, unfortunately, you will not be able to reapply. We accept group applications up to 5 people who wish to work together. These 5 people can come from different countries, but all of them must be carrying out an international mobility to go to a different country, to all of them. It can be their first collaboration, and actually I really encourage this. This grant, I think, is perfect for artists who want to work together for the first time, but with a common project. They will need to apply and really define what will be the role of each member of the group. They will need to travel at the same time and for the same duration to the destination country. Please go to the next slide. Yeah, so basically you can apply anytime, but it must be written in English. Don't worry about this if you don't feel really confident about your English. Mine is also not perfect, but it's the common language of all the experts that will be evaluating your project. So the quality of the language is really not evaluated. Feel free to help yourself with translation tools or friends, etc. That is totally fine. Then if you're applying individually, you will need to travel from 7 to 60 days. And if you're applying as a group, then it will be between 7 or 21 days of project implementation. There will be just one single destination that will need to be a Creative Europe country where the international partner will be based, and the implementation of your project needs to be uninterrupted. So even if you are going to a country that is in the border of the country you are residing, you cannot leave the country of destination until the project implementation has finished. Then you will need to define in your application what are the two main objectives of your project between these four options: to explore, to create, to learn, or to connect. We don't really advise applicants in which is the best objective. We always tell them they know their project better than anyone else. These options are here really for them to choose. There is not one better goal than another. Just think what are really the two goals that adjust to the project that you want to carry out. And then you will need to explain why you chose those two projects. We have here a timeline for our mobility project. This timeline really includes the moment from departure of the country of legal residence until the artists are back to the country of legal residence. All of this time is considered the mobility projects. Then the daily allowance is paid for the project implementation, which is the time spent at the destination country. We did this because we received some wishes from applicants to have more time to travel, especially for grantees who wish to travel green and this takes longer, or group applications where sometimes the tickets available are not available for the same days. So basically, the grantees will have 15 days between one country and another for them to travel. They don't have to use all 15 days. They can really do it when it's best for them, as long as the dates of the project implementation, they are in the destination country. For the budget, there will be a travel allowance of €350 per person under 5,000 kilometers. So if the distance between your residence country and your destination country is less than 5,000 kilometers, and if it's more than 5,000 kilometers, then the travel allowance will be €700. Traveling by plane is not allowed if you are traveling under 600 kilometers. On top of that, there will be a daily allowance paid for each day of project implementation spent in the destination country of €75 for accommodation, food, transport, etc. Then, depending on the grantee's individual situation, we also offer a variety of top-ups, like the visa top-up for those grantees who need a visa, and OCT and OR top-up for grantees coming from or traveling to overseas countries and territories or outermost regions. You also have the list in the website with the countries. This will be an extra 150 euro. Then green top-up for those people traveling more than 600 kilometers and wishing to travel green with any transport except for plane, an extra 350 euro. Then a family top-up for applicants with custody of children below the age of 10 during the mobility. This will be an extra 100 euro. And then also for people whose disabilities affect their ability to carry out the mobility project, they can also request a disability support. In this case, our team will contact them to ask how much they will need in this case. There is also an exception to physical mobility for countries in which there is a serious threat to the applicant's safety and security. Virtual mobility will be an option, either if you wish to travel there or if you live in one of these countries and cannot go abroad, then this option will stay available. In this case, it will be 35 euro of daily allowance to cover subsistence, connectivity, etc., but no travel allowance and not top-ups offered in this case. So when will you get this money in this case? So 75% of the mobility grants and 75% of the disability support will be paid at the beginning after the signature of the grants agreement. And once the artist has come back from their mobility project and they have submitted their activity report and it has been validated, only after the 25% of the mobility grant and all the top-ups will be paid. In this case, after coming back from the mobility, the grantees will need to submit an activity report via the platform. It is really easy. It's an online form with questions and tick options, and it will need to be filled in within 30 days after the implementation of the project in the destination country. So it's really a short questionnaire with the expectations, if you have achieved your goals during your project. Then also we will ask for proofs of the mobility project, like accommodation invoices, the transport tickets, etc. And then also pictures showing that what you did. This is usually our favorite part, where we can really see what the grantees have achieved with our grants. So when you apply in the selection criteria, there will be the goals. So if really do the two goals chosen match the description really of the project. This is really, do they really, does this project really mean to explore, create, learn, or connect? The relevance, is this a project that really needs mobility, or is it a project that could have been done at home with a group of friends? So really explain here why you need to travel, why you need this grant, why is this project way better if you go to that destination. Then the preparation, show the experts really how well prepared you are, if you had a plan with the international partner, if you have an agenda, if it matches the time frame, everything that you have done so far for the success of your artistic projects. And then sustainability, really sit down and think, how can your project be more green? How can it include sustainable aspects? Can you reuse materials? Can you recycle some things? Also, during your stay in the destination, you can use local transports, consume local food. Really think in which ways your project can be greener. And then the impact. What are the long-term beneficial impacts of your project? Convince the experts that your project really will make a change in the future and how you believe it to do so. This is my favorite slide, and I will never be tired of saying so, because it's the timeline. It's the moments where you know absolutely when everything will happen, and actually you can be reassured of when you will receive your notifications and when you will receive the payments. So basically, the last day of every month is what we consider a monthly deadline. This means, for example, if we apply on the 2nd of October, our monthly deadline is the 31st of October, the last day of the month we are applying. Then the applications received until that day will go to the next step of the timeline, in this case, the assessment. The assessment is divided in 3, in eligibility, in evaluation by experts, and in jury. The first week of this assessment period is usually where we do eligibility of all the applications. Are these applications from eligible country, from more than 18 years old applicants, etc., etc. Then all the eligible applications go to experts, and these experts have 2 weeks to evaluate all of these applications received and give a score to it. After the expert gave a score to all the applications, these applications that have more than 10 points will go to a jury, and this jury will be the one in charge of selecting the final list of grantees. All of this process takes time, and this is why the notifications are only sent between 6 and 8 weeks after the monthly deadline. This means that if you applied on the 2nd, your monthly deadline is the 31st, and you will receive your notifications 6 to 8 weeks after the 31st. And this is very important for applicants to know, to not get anxious, and really know when they can expect the answers from our side. And then once these applicants have been notified, they will receive grant agreements from our team. These grant agreements are sent in order of priority. For those who are traveling first, they will receive these grant agreements first. And then, this is why we always recommend for applicants to apply for projects that take place 2 months after the monthly deadline. If it's before 2 months after the monthly deadline, these projects will not be eligible, since they feel inside the whole process and there is not enough time for all of it to happen. So when you apply, make sure that your project takes place minimum 2 months after your monthly deadline. This is exactly why we recommend to all applicants to apply 4 months, more or less, before they want to start their projects. Where to apply? Well, you need to do this via the Goethe application portal. You will need to create an account there and register as an individual, even if you are applying for group projects. Then select the Culture Moves Europe funding and the call for individual mobility in this case, and fill it in following the tips that our grantees during this session will give you. And make sure that you have all the documents ready. Please, the official national ID, a proof of legal residence, your CV, your portfolio, and the proof of collaboration with the international partner. Make sure you read the call to the detail, that all these documents are correct. Otherwise, if there is one document that did not upload, or if there is one document that it's in English, well, we accept the ID and the proof of legal residence in other languages than English, but the rest of the documents need to be in English. So make sure you have them ready, that the document is complete, that you don't take a blurry picture or that it's half of it. Really make sure everything is good, prepared, and correctly uploaded. Please go to the next slide. So as tip for a successful application, about how can we make our application better, read the call one, twice, 3 times, as many times as you need to make sure that your application is really correct. Be sure that you meets all the conditions to apply before giving your time to an application that will not be eligible, then make sure that you check and have all correct documents. If you have any questions, you can always reach out our team about it. Be concise and straight to the point. Really make sure that your application is coherent in all the parts of the application, in all the questions, that you don't contradict yourself. Why not make someone reread your application if you are unsure about some parts of it? Give it to a friend, give it to a fellow artist, to a family member. Gather their feedback on how you can maybe improve this application, and then really don't worry, everything will be fine. As we said, if you have any questions, you can reach out our team literally everywhere, on social media, on the website. Please come and join us every Friday for question time. Then you can also contact the Creative Europe desk of your country. And also you can write to us in culturemoveseurope@goethe.de. And if you already have a GAP account, also send us an email there. So see, you have so many ways to ask your questions. You have no excuse to not send an application. So I encourage all of you to send one.
Yes, thank you very much, Lolly, for your very, very clear presentation. So there are quite some questions. Oh. I think you're on mute, Lolly. Can you hear us, Lolly?
Lolly, can you say something?
Perhaps we can unstage her. En dan,
Lolly.
ja, en dan nog een keer. Yeah. Hi everyone, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay. Lolly, can you say something?
Yeah.
Yeah, what we could try to do maybe is, there have been quite some questions posed for you. Maybe you can try to answer them during the in the chat,
And you can say.
and I can post them one by one. It's not very practical, but there are some very technical questions I myself couldn't answer, and I'm hoping that you can. Maybe in the if it's possible to answer them briefly. So let me go back to one of the first questions. So Elizabeth asked us, is it possible to apply to an exhibition at a partner's institution, or must there be a broader exchange project? So she basically wants to know how to define a partnership. Could you tell us more about the basic requirements for a partnership? And also Roxanne asked a similar question. She, for instance, asked, how do you define collaboration? So I think there is a bit of an overlap, and that people want to know how to, they want to know what kind of partnerships they need to have in order to find a fit for this call.
I think Lolly is now typing.
Yes.
Thank you. So, in private chats again.
Okay. So so Lolly, you said that the applicants are free to choose the partners of their choice, and the level of collaboration is defined by the applicants themselves. Did I understand it correctly? And could you tell us more, like what kind of proof do you need to show in your application? So a formal email or a signed letter of a collaboration is sufficient for a partnership, for a proof of partnership for this call. Maybe Lolly, I think you have muted yourself. Maybe we can give it one more try.
Mm-hmm. On your phone, right?
Yeah, so maybe, I think you muted yourself on your phone since you're logged in two devices.
Not on your phone.
What about now? Did you hear my presentation? I hope you did. Okay, yeah, so sorry everyone, I was with the audio on my phone and it was still active, but for some reason stopped functioning, so I hope everyone can just hear me well. Yeah, so as I said, the proof of collaboration needs to be a formal email or a signed letter of collaboration by the international partner. And this letter will have to include the dates that you are collaborating, the name of all the members of the group, short description of what the international partner does, and also a description of what you plan to do together and how you plan to collaborate. And it's very important that this letter includes all of this information to be accepted. But yeah, basically you can choose the partner that you want, really, a fellow artist, an organization, big organization, small organization. It's up to you who is the best organization for your project.
Thank you for that good question. Okay. So there was also another question regarding this grant. Is it only for the one who's applying, or can the partner also receive a part of this grant?
No, so if you're applying for an individual mobility grant, only the person applying and group applying can have it. Unfortunately, the organization cannot be part of this application. And please also make sure that you don't apply with member groups that are in the destination country, since this is not eligible, and then the whole application will be disregarded. Every one of the group needs to carry out an international mobility.
And another question is the funding for 5 people in total, or is it for 5 persons per application, per participating country? Because I think people are mixing it up with other Creative Europe calls. So could you say something about this?
Yes, So no. I mean, you can be up to 5, and you can be a group of 2, group of 3, and you can each one of the people can come from different countries and all go to the same destination to implement the same project. And this, I'm going to take the opportunity now to say something else. Basically, for example, I'm just putting an example. If you have a music band of 10 people and you want to do a project, it is not eligible to do 2 applications with the same project. This is not eligible. There is a way to really find out about this, and it would be really a pity if good projects like this are not granted. So unfortunately, if you have a group of 10, only 5 can get the grant. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So there is another more general question revolving around the grant. So the grant, do you get the full cover of the project budget, or does it have to be co-financing? I think this also insinuates more to the other Creative Europe calls. Could you tell us more about the travel distance that allows for a certain amount of allowance?
So I'm not really sure I fully understand, but I will give an answer, and then if it was something else, please let us know. So basically, what I explained in the budget part, this is basically the total grant that the applicant will receive, depending on their different options and situation, and also depending on where they're traveling, for how long, etc. So this is all the grants that we give out. Sometimes it will be enough, sometimes it will not. It really depends on the project. It can get it can be combined with other financing, but you will need to be very careful of double funding situations. Usually these double funding situations happen when you get a grant from the European Union for the same purpose, the same project, and the same dates. So this will be a double funding, and this will not be possible. But if you combine the Culture Moves Europe grant with some local finance aids or some national grants, this is totally fine.
Thank you. That's overlapping a bit. So Jill asked us if it would be possible to apply at all if you have structural funding from a project, which is also part of Culture Moves Europe. Could you say something about actually a project that's part of Creative Europe, not Culture Moves Europe. It's part of the European Cooperation Project, I think. So I think it's a misspelling.
Yes, so I guess maybe this person means part of Creative Europe. Again, it is the same. If it's for the same project, same purpose, same dates, then it's not. But if it's for another purpose, other dates, and other project, then it's fine. It can be combined.
Right. So if there are any more questions, we do have some more time for very specific questions if you have them. And now is your chance to ask them to Loli, Messiger.
Roxana has a question. I will highlight it. Thank you.
Yes. So there is a question from Roxanne. Is an invitation to exhibit or, for instance, giving a workshop enough of a collaboration? I think this is a very essential question. Thank you, Roxana.
This is an amazing question. Thank you. I didn't mention it in my presentation for fear of running out of time. So it's great that you are mentioning this now. Actually, it is not eligible when the goal itself is to present, to perform something, to exhibit. If it's really the goal of the project, it's not eligible. Of course, if you travel and have a project about, I don't know, developing a new dance, combining with some local dances, let's say, and then at the end of your project you have a little performance to an audience, this is totally eligible. However, if you you plan or rehearse the whole thing at home and then you just want to travel to the country to show the result and then go back home, then this will not be eligible. And these cases are usually found in music, in performing arts. It can really be found in any sectors, but mostly in these two. Watch out really the way you write your application, that it cannot confuse the experts into thinking that you are only traveling to exhibit or perform or to showcase something and all of this. But usually if it's included in the project, it's fine.
Thank you. I can see there's still a little bit more, there's still a bit confusion about the different applications for groups. So Anita wants to know if you need 5 different applications for funding if you're traveling as a group, I suppose, or can you do it at once for a group?
Yes, please, I need this to be super clear, so if you need to ask it 10 times, please do ask it 10 times. There are 2 types of application, individual application and as a group. The moment that you enter the platform and you sign up, if you are representing a group, you will sign up as the group leader. So this is totally fine. The person signing up in the platform will be the group leader. And then in the application, it will ask you, are you applying individually or as a group? You will tick the option of group, and then you will have all the necessary steps to add up to 5 people. Please don't apply 5 times for the same project. This is what I explained before. If we see that there are 5 applications for the exact same project, this will not be eligible. If you are a group, just apply once with one person. That will be the person submitting the application, the group leader, and you will see. I hope it's clear.
Yes. Sorry for the wait. I was trying to answer a question from Luana. So Luana wants to know. Oh. So she wants to know what about if you want to go with South Italians to the north of Italy? Can we apply as a group? You mean traveling from within one country, or is there another destination you're going to?
So I think I mentioned this, but I will say it once more. Everyone needs to carry out an international mobility. Traveling nationally is not eligible. And also adding, if you are, for example, I don't know, if you are French and you want to travel to Italy, you will get the grants. But if you want to travel to Italy to collaborate with Italians, this is not eligible. So watch out and be very careful.
Yes, thank you. There's one more very, I think, essential question. How many times can you apply per year? Actually, it is more about how many times you can apply per call. So could you once more elaborate on this?
Yeah, sure. So every person can apply once per call. In this case, we had a call last year. If you already got the grant, you cannot even apply for the next call. If you applied and you weren't lucky, then you can reapply in this call just once. From here till end of May, just once. And then if again you were not successful with your application, you will be able to reapply once more in the next call.
All right. So we have one more room for another question. So if there's anyone who wants to have, I can see that Roxanne has a question. Is digital culture as a sector included?
So the eligible sectors are the ones that I presented. We don't have digital culture as a sector per se, but depending on what the project is about, maybe the applicant can see if this can really fit in any of the eligible sectors. And actually sometimes, like, I don't know, if it's related to visual arts, for example, then they can choose visual arts, and then we will ask for a subsector, and we have the option of other, where they can really specify if there is something that it's not offered in the application, and then they will have the option of adding digital culture in this case.
So we have another question. This is more practical about the application. How many hours on average do you estimate it takes to finish an application? How many hours have you calculated from Goethe Institute?
For this question, I think it's better for our grantees here today to answer, but from the team perspective, so from the other side of the scene, I could say it really depends on what the project is about, like how long does it take for the applicant to really find out. I mean, some projects really have a lot of back work before going, because applying can easily take 2 hours if everything is prepared beforehand, but all of this preparation takes way longer, and depending on how complicated every project is, this pre-preparation before applying can be longer or shorter. So it really depends on your project, but the fact of applying and sending, it's really a couple of hours, sometimes not even. But put effort in your documents, put effort in your descriptions, put effort in your application, and you will see you will have a clear high chance of getting the project.
All right. Oh, I think your sound is off again.
I wanted to make some clarifications if I don't know if we don't have more questions, because also, I mean, I explained for the performing, showing, all of this. For literature, I wanted to also specify that it's only for fiction, so not fiction is not eligible sector in this case if you're applying with literature sector, so only with fictional works. And then also researchers. Can you hear me?
All right. So we have another question from Juan. I think I can answer it myself, but I can show you guys. So Juan is working in the film distribution in the Netherlands, and he wants to know if his project is applicable for Culture Moves Europe. And to be short, unfortunately, media is not part of Culture Moves Europe, unfortunately. Lolly, can you hear me?
Yes, sorry. Again, my phone did some weird stuff. I'm back. I didn't hear the question. Maybe you can repeat.
Yes, he's working in film distribution with activities in Germany, Spain, and the UK. And he wants to know if film screenings and educational activities can be considered for funding.
This is exactly what I wanted to explain before my phone went crazy. So yes, exactly. Film, audiovisual media, this is not eligible. And also education purposes, academic projects are not. But non-formal education projects are eligible. So like if you want to participate in some artistic workshop and give a speech there, or really actively participate in some of these workshops, this is eligible. But if you're really doing a PhD or I don't know, big academic project with a university, this is not eligible, since it is considered there are other grants for these purposes. Also, yes, film, audiovisual, cinema, media, all of this is really not eligible, unfortunately.
Yes. Thank you so much. This is going to be the final question. So, does nationality play a role? Can someone who has lived somewhere collaborate with somewhere? So I think we can also be very short about it. Can you say something about it?
Yes, sorry if this was not very clear. Nationality doesn't really matter. What matters is that the country you legally reside in. and where you are traveling. The example I gave before with the Italians, it's not that, of course, if someone is Italian and has been living in France since childhood, or even now, like for example, I am Spanish and I'm legally residing in Belgium, I could go to Spain to do a project just because I'm now doing an international mobility. However, if I want to go to Spain and collaborate with Spanish people and I put Spanish people inside an application that is for going to Spain, this is not eligible because nationals are not traveling, so they cannot get the grant. Hence, this application is not eligible.
Thank you so much. I think we're a bit out of time. Thank you so much for your presentation and for answering all of our questions. It's time to move on to our final presentation. I would like to welcome Emilia to the floor. She is an artist, researcher, and she applied also at the beginning of this year for Culture Moves Europe. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I can move the slides.
Yes, so where is now? Here. Yeah.
Super, thank you. So yeah, my name is Emilia. I'm a Finnish, Amsterdam-based visual artist and filmmaker with a design research background. And very shortly, I work mostly in speculative design projects where the body is in a central focus. And yeah, well, I would say that my mobility was very much focused in the exploration part and in the connecting parts. And if we move to the next slide, I will first tell more about the context. So prior to applying to Culture Moves Europe, I had been already accepted for a 1-month residency at Rupert Artist in Residence, which you can see in the pictures. It's located at the outskirts of Vilnius in Lithuania, and there are usually 3 residents at the time. Each of us have their own live work studio and curatorial support for different types of research. And while it's in many ways one of my favorite residencies in terms of its stuff and how much you get help to connect with locals in Vilnius, Rupert doesn't have the possibility to cover for travel expenses or any kind of daily artist stipendium. And that's something where Culture Moves Europe, this mobility grant, was perfect in. And yeah, to get back to some of the questions that came from the audience, preparing the application took for me about half a day. Part of it was in really formulating and trying to address what the jury is interested to hear, so not to miss those elements from the application. I had also already requested an invitation letter from Rupert, especially for this. And also I already had portfolio and CV ready. So it was this half a day went mostly to formulate answers to all of the questions in the application environment. And also about the travel, I traveled there by train, which was a long trip from Amsterdam. I stayed overnight in Poland, and then I continued the next day. So it took 2 full days to travel there. And if we move to the next slide, I can briefly tell about the project that I started there, which deals with language futures, particularly focusing on nonverbal communication modalities, such as signed and tactile and augmented sensing. And during this residency, what I did was mostly either desktop research or dialogues or practical experimentation. And the image that you see here is from the larger project space at Rupert, where I did a lot of these different movement prototyping activities. And if we move to the next slide, for me, one of the richest parts was the engagements with local experts and artists. And many of the encounters took place what you can see in the picture, Autarkia, which is an artist-run space in Vilnius. And the residency, Rupert, they organized this series called Articulations, where I could share also work in progress in the end of March. I didn't say it before, but my mobility took 1 month for the month of March. And if we jump to 2 slides actually forward. So yeah, one more. It's missing maybe 1 slide. Maybe we can go 1 more then. Yeah, that's great. That's perfect. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this one. Although the mobility was in March, this image is from end of July, because I was invited back by Rupert to a screening event. And I wanted to mention this as an example of how some of the collaborations that start during even a shorter period can continue. And also the beauty of this invitation was that since we were invited to come, I could also include my collaborator, Victor Evink, who couldn't come in the previous time when I went to Vilnius in March. And if we go then to the previous slide, this one, I wanted to put a highlight in an especially fruitful encounter from the initial mobility period, which was with Lithuanian Sign Language researcher and interpreter Angelika Terese, who's the second from the right. Because the groundwork that we did when we met in March and we developed the research, it resulted in a positive funding application afterwards in the Netherlands by Stimuleringsfonds, and that allowed me to continue the project. So the mobility was really much this kind of research dive, networking, connecting with people and creating a foundation for something to continue. And the image that you see there right now is from a few weeks ago. I went for the 3rd time back in Vilnius to work with local signing and the deaf community on this nonverbal gesture-based language features. And if we go to the final one, it's video vignette, which is a separate file. So I'm just going to share a few excerpts of how the project is advancing from this initial research. These short snippets are filmed at Mount Etna in Sicily, together with the dancer and choreographer Yunchun Ji. And yeah, I'm continuing this project throughout this autumn, and I hope that it will result in extended collaborations in different countries around Europe. But this initial 1 month period in March was super valuable for me to get in touch with the different people that I still work with. And yeah, we can round off the introduction presentation. And if there are any questions that relate to the application side, I'm happy to answer anything.
Yes, thank you so much for your intriguing project, Emilia. And it's so nice to see how different your project is compared to Marijn's. So if there's anyone who has personal questions for Emilia, you can post them right now. Otherwise, I can ask some questions to Emilia. Emilia, if you would have the chance to reapply, is there something you would do different, maybe? Or
that's an interesting question. Not really. I think the main commitment for me was to go there by train. And it's something that you need to mentally prepare to travel a few days in a moving vehicle. And that's the current challenge when we move towards green. But I wouldn't do it differently. It's more getting a different habit and pace of what it takes to go from one part of Europe to another part.
Yes, and you, towards the end of your presentation, you briefly mentioned about partnerships, because you said you met some other people. I was wondering, do you think this is also a big opportunity to get in touch for next projects? Maybe you could say something more about that. Yeah, of course, there's one way to get in touch with experts through email. But it really was the groundbreaking moment when we could even briefly meet in Vilnius, and we made a contact. And from then on, we continued exchange, and that allowed to create enough trust to actually contact the Vilnius deaf community and organize the series of workshops. And I couldn't have reached
these people without being there. So yes.
Thank you so much. So there's sometimes indeed is this necessity for physical mobility. Thank you for your presentation and sharing your experience. We're heading towards the end of this session for today. Thank you so much to all of our presenters who worked through the technical bits and blurbs. Thank you, Lolly Messiger of the Goethe Institute, Marijn van der Leeuw for your first presentation, of course, Emilia Tabres. Thank you for your contribution and also your insights and experience from this call, from all of your different and unique perspectives, and also to the audience for your patience. And we're really hoping that you will be enthusiastic to apply. We want to wish you all of luck. And if you have any more questions, something that comes up in your mind, don't hesitate to ask us. And if you're interested in more European funding opportunities, please don't forget to log into our next session, which will be on November the 15th. We will be talking about the Creative Europe program as a whole. There is a culture, but also a media sub-program. And then one final request, if you have a few minutes to spare, then please help us by filling in our survey. If you scan the QR code, you will be referred to the survey directly. So thank you very much and hope to see you again. Bye-bye.